Alright, we are live. Today we're going to be doing some raw processing. We're going to be editing a hotel photo shoot. So I'm starting out here in Lightroom. I'm going to start doing some culling. I'm going to pick out the images that I'm going to work with, and then I'm going to pull them out and convert them to TIFF, export them as TIFFs, and get them into Photoshop. Let me start my timer. Oops. Let's see. Keep track of how long that I work. Sometimes I find that I'm spending too much time or too little time. Mostly too much time. So, because there's a million things you can end up doing on these images. More, you can kind of go into overkill mode after a while. You got to kind of say when, because there's a lot wrong with these images that you could definitely beat it to death after a while. Some of these images are similar, but I'm just going to mark them as optional images. And depending on how many I have at the end, I may have to go back and actually grab a few more if I need to make the total number higher. Let's see. Got an angle with a little snack bar. Bring down the highlights a little bit. The white balance is a little yellow. It's a little better. Perspective looks okay. Alright, onto the rooms. Now, everything in the window is totally blown out, so what I want to try to do is get an angle where it's not totally blown out, an exposure where it's not totally blown out. Crank up the exposure. Even that is not great. I like the way that the window's exposed in this shot, but obviously the whole room isn't exposed properly. So they use different lighting. They use a flash. See what the auto exposure does here. Oops. I'm going to leave the white balance as it was. So that's going to be my optional image that I'm going to use for the view in the window. I'm going to use that layer, just this chunk of the image. And I'm also going to use one of the better exposed room shots. These here are the first three were a little blown out. This one I can actually work with. Bring down the highlights. I don't have to really worry about what the window's doing because I'm going to basically be replacing that. So here I can notice the whole room is totally distorted, so I'm going to work with this vertical perspective correction here. Somebody was using a 14 to 24 millimeter lens. I have no idea what that's for. Maybe it's a Nikon. Let's see. That looks good. All my verticals are straight. And then I obviously have to duplicate that same perspective for this other image that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to use the lens corrections and the crop. And so now when I click between the two images, it should be pretty close. Yep, that's pretty good. Well, it's actually not perfect, but I can still work with that. Because we're just going to be using this little portion here. You can always auto align the layers later in Photoshop. Next room. This angle is always a little better because the window is behind you. You don't have to worry so much about getting what's in the window view exposed. So, what do I want to do? I think I'm going to take this one. I'm going to try to protect the highlights on the pillows. Bring these down. Increase the shadows to kind of even out the room's lighting. I'm going to go back here with the vertical perspective. me get my Twitch chat open here so I can see if anybody's actually talking. I don't want to be ignoring my viewers here. Totally forgot. It's been a while since I streamed. I haven't streamed Photoshop in, who knows, 4 months, 6 months. It's been a minute. Hot minute. Okay. Oops. I'm going to do auto, white balance. These are a little tricky because you'll get some blues coming in from the window light, and then you got the tungsten light or fluorescent lights competing with it, which will cast yellows or greens. And it can be tough because you have to try to balance it. Sometimes I find I just take the blue levels, the saturation, or the cyan and the blues, and I actually bring them down just a tad. And this was the before, and this was the after. It just definitely takes a lot of the bluishness out of the image. The yellow you can bring down as well, but the yellow is kind of tied in with the bedspread, so that makes it a little tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to selectively remove the yellow from the ceiling later on in Photoshop. This one's done. Here's a straight on view. I may or may not need this, so right now I'm just going to mark it as a blue. Here's another image where basically you're facing the windows again. Wonderful. With the windows, the drapes open. So I'm going to try to find the most dimly exposed shot, just so nothing's blown out. And I'm going to work with this one. And let's bring the highlights down a little bit. Let's bring up the shadows. Let's correct the perspective, because there's distortion from the lens. That looks pretty good. I don't like the glare that's going on over here. I'm actually going to just totally ignore that section of the room just by dragging it down, cropping it out. I'm actually going to save a little bit. Oh, actually, no, that's good right there. Now I don't have to worry about photoshopping the wall and removing glare because I just cropped it out. It's the lazy man shortcut. So when in doubt, crop it out. Alright, so I want to get the proper window exposure for this shot, so I'm going to have to go for one of these pop flash images. This one looks pretty good. Actually, there's a car driving by. Let's do this one. So I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit, correct that. The daylight is probably the one that you want to set. No, that's actually pretty good. So I'm going to also use this image as my layered window image, but I also want to sync the crop and I want to sync the lens corrections onto this shot here. So now this one should be the same exact spot. Yep, it looks good. Close enough. So I'm just going to be using that portion. On to the next one. Oh look, another image facing a window. Anytime you have differing light levels and you're facing a window and you're exposing for the room, the window's just going to be blown out. So there's not much you can do except try to cross process it, or see if I bring down the highlights I can maybe save some of the image in the window, but it's still going to be totally blown out and it's going to look crappy. So my best bet here is just to do the same thing with this shot that I did with the last shot. I'm going to actually bring up the shadows a little bit, and then I'm going to go on to the pop flash, and I'm going to get the pop flash version for the picture frame. Actually, the picture frame looks okay. It's glare filled here, so I'm going to end up having to replace that as well. So let's take this one. Actually, the frame's a little blown out there. I don't know if I like this better or worse. Let me take this version, bring the highlights down a little bit. Let's see what we can do. Even these kind of had a little bit of glare going on from Oh, actually, no, that's the building. Okay, so to be honest, I think I'm going to go with this one for now. And I may just use the inner image for the picture frame, not the matte. I mean, not the edge of the frame. So from here, we're just going to take that and mark it green. And then the image that we were going to be using, I believe, was, let's see, wasn't this one? What the heck was it? It was this one, I believe. There's also some really crappy lens blobs going on. Somebody needs to clean their lens. I really don't like how they lit this room. But anyways, this is the image, and then this is the after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the perspective on this, fix it because it's totally out of whack. Make those vertical lines look vertical, even if I have to rotate it a little bit. The camera might have been rotated just a tad when they shot this because the photographer was a little careless. And then sync. We're going to get the same perspective on this shot, and there we go. That one's done. It's too bad there's not an alternate angle. Here's the alternate angle. It's just an image of the hot tub in the corner. So I'd like it if there was a better angle, but this is all we have to work with apparently. So it looks like I'm going to be working with this shot. Sometimes auto white balance, when you're working with bathtub and a lot of white bathtub angles and bathtub shots, it seems like it doesn't really do a great job. So I'm just going to bring down the highlights. I'm going to increase the shadow, the light in the shadows. Let's try the blacks. The blacks, I'll bring those up just a little bit. And everything else looks pretty good. There's going to be a little bit of perspective correction needed as well here. Make those verticals vertical. I have to rotate just a tad. So now that I did that, I made everything straight, but now I lost the bottom of the bathtub, so I'm going to have to do something about that. Let's see if I can lower this crop a little bit, bring it back down. And then bring my horizontal. There we go. Even it out. Boom. It's a shame there's not much ceiling in this image, but honestly, I'm about to just crop it out because it's going to look better cropped out than it will with the ceiling in there, unfortunately. So no ceiling, but we're getting more of a close-up of the little dream spa. Wouldn't you want to stay at this hotel just for this little tiny dream spa? Where all your dreams come true. Alright, this is done. This is a decent shot, but actually it's not because we got sunlight, direct sunlight coming in, hitting the rug, blowing out the carpet. This is not what we want at all. I might not even use this image. The lighting's weird, bouncing the flash off the ceiling here. So I'm not a fan. I'm going to take the alternate angle, which is this one here, and I'm going to work with this one instead. Hit the auto tone, get me started, bring down the highlights, go back down, fix the vertical perspective correction. Okay. And corner of the ceiling. Not bad, not bad. Bring up the shadows. Bring down the highlights because the bedspread's a little bright. I'm actually going to bring down the exposure as well. just a tad, because I can brighten this room up in Photoshop and then history correct this area, which is going to then get blown out. So we will see. You'll see what I do once I get it in there. The white balance looks pretty good. Gonna leave that alone. Bring up the whites just a tad bit. We're gonna have to do something about this glare over here too. Alright, we got a direct on headboard shot. I don't know if I'm gonna use this one. It's nothing great. I'll just mark it for later in case I need it. Here's another beautiful room with direct sunlight, which I'm not even going to bother with because it looks like butthole. I'm not photoshopping out the carpet. Just use this alternate angle. But oh look, there's a nice little hot spot on there too. So gonna have to work with one of the lower exposures. Is what it is. What can you do? Actually, let me mark this for an option. Hopefully we have another image. I might actually use this image as an alternative just so I can avoid screwing around with the stupid blown out corner of the bedspread. So it looks like this is the one. We're going to bring down the highlights. We're going to increase the shadows. We're going to use the auto white balance to correct the white balance. The vertical perspective correction, maybe just actually that's actually pretty good. Just rotate it just a smidge. That looks good to me. Horizontal, just to make the ceiling look totally even. I might bring it to like +2. Yeah, that works for me. I'm going to actually bring down the temp a little bit. And then I'm going to bring down my blues and my cyans just a tad. And that's good. Now here we go with a bathtub shot. It's obviously got some blown out areas here, which isn't great. If I can't save that, what I'm going to end up doing is, let's see, going with this darker exposure. I'm going to bring down the highlights. I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit for the bathtub. This is so yellow. This is what it's supposed to look like. Oh, and we have this beautiful, attractive, busted up wall panel here that somebody caulked back together. That's going to be fun to remove. I'd actually totally like to use a different angle of this bathtub just for that reason. So this is going to be an optional image. This bathroom looks a little better. This one does have the bars on it, which is more for handicapped and people that need it, older folks, so they might want this image either way. I might have to just clean this up because I can't really crop it out without removing too much of the upper portion of the shower, and the lower portion we need that lip to be there as well. So I might just go like so, crop out some of this door. And let's just go with that. I'll clean this up later in Photoshop. Bring the whites up a little bit. Bring out the shadows. And I think our white balance is pretty good. The shower curtain looks white. The bathtub is kind of like an ivory off-white, so right about there. And then I'm going to bring down the blues again because it looks like there's some kind of blue stuff going on here. Alright, let's go with that. We're going to do this next one here. The vanity can be tough sometimes because a lot of times the vanity lights end up getting blown out. So you really got to bring down the highlights, bring back up the exposure, just so that you can still see the general shape of the vanity lights. This one seems like it has a outlet sticking out, which isn't the most attractive thing. Gonna bring down the white balance again, the temperature, and increase the shadows and the whites. Might actually crop this one down just to totally remove that outlet out of the vanity area. All this stuff we're going to work on in Photoshop later on. We're going to actually remove the shadows and the glares. Alright, that looks better. Let's bring the shadows up just a tad more. Bring down the temp. The temp looks good. Just going to lower the yellow just a little bit, and also the blue, in case there's any really weird blues. I don't know what the heck is stuck on the mirror here, but apparently it's a advertisement of some sorts. That's going to have to be removed digitally. And let's move on to the next area. Oh, look, this hotel property offers a washer and dryer. How helpful. So let's edit this little washer dryer cubicle shot. I'm going to totally remove the hallway door out of this. Just kind of crop it out. I'm going to bring this down. Just it's not really needed. Maybe it'll look better this way. Maybe do some vertical perspective correction. Oop, a little too much. That looks about right. Actually, I'm going to remove that door altogether. I want to make sure that the crop is on the original aspect. And that looks good to me. Let's just check the white balance. I actually like the original shot in camera better. I'm going to bring up the shadows just to kind of lighten the shadows. And everything else to me looks okay. I'm just going to bring up the whites to kind of pop the brightness a little bit. And the highlights, there's a little bit of blown out area up here. Just going to bring that down a smidge. So now we're getting to the exterior of the property. Unfortunately, this property has a big, hideous pole right in front of the entryway. And I'm guessing it's some sort of a billboard or something. They're making money by having a billboard on their property. So, prime real estate, they must be next to a highway or something. Definitely not a hotel I'd be staying at. So, out of the couple of shots, I got to pick one daytime shot and one evening shot. I'm probably going to go with, let's see, actually there's the nice evening shot. The only problem is there's like some starlight thing going on with the lights. I'm not really a huge fan of that. But we're going to have to work with one or the other. I might just go with this image just because the billboard is already kind of cropped out of it. Let's see. The photographer did that, which was nice, just by cropping it in camera. And let's see, this is like a dusk shot. I'm not a huge fan of what the lights are doing, but it is what it is. Might be able to work on that a little bit in Photoshop. I'm going to bring down the vertical transform effects just to try to make the building look straight. Now that looks much better than it did before. Here was before, here was after. Could actually go in just a smidge more. That's too much. I think I had it where I needed it, and then I just need to kind of rotate it. Let's see, right? Well, -2, and then rotate it to the left. Looks good to me. Actually, it still looks funky. I like to drive myself crazy with these things sometimes. There we go. There's kind of some yellow going on. I'm going to bring down the yellows by dragging my temperature down a little bit. And I'm going to increase the shadows and just make sure my vignette isn't, there's some vignette correction going on over here. Make sure my vignette isn't too bright in the corners. And I can bring this down, kind of crop out this stupid car over here a little bit. Bring the whole crop up in order to kind of give it more sky and have to take out some more of this ugly pavement. And then for the daytime shot, I have to decide which one I want to use. So I may just use this one and then crop out the billboard entirely. It's probably my best bet. Auto was not a good idea there because we're getting all kinds of, it's just getting blown out from the auto correction. That white balance is way better. And vertical, I'm going to bring this down. We're going to crop the stupid billboard right out of it. Change this back to original aspect. I don't know why it's making stupid crop perspective. Put back to original. What is going on here? Lightroom does funny things sometimes when you're working with this constrained crop. I'm going to bring it down from the bottom, bring it up, and now I'm going to be able to crop and keep the original aspect. Bring it right to about there. Bring this up. Same car is parked in the parking lot. Surprise, surprise. This should be easy to remove. This upper portion, since it's just going to be sky. White balance is a bit yellow, but tough time of day to shoot the sky. It's kind of a backlit scene. And bring the shadows up, it kind of HDRs it. It'll add a little bit of grain and noise to it, but for the purpose that we're using these images for, it'll be just fine. I'm seeing a little bit of reddish tint in these images too, so I might just bring down the reds just a slight tad. If you ever get to the point where you just still can't get it right, you can start playing around with the saturations. You can bring it up, bring it down. I'm going to cut the yellows down just a tad. I'm also going to bring down the aqua. If I bring the blues up, the sky turns darker blue, but also get blue in the shadows. So I'm going to actually bring the blues down in the whole image, and then I'm probably going to end up replacing the sky later on anyways with another stock sky texture that I already have. So this will be fine for my purposes. So now I've got a couple shots left to edit. I have a lobby shot. Let's see, which one do I want to work with? Bring the highlights down, bring the shadows up, exposure up a little bit. And the white balance is a little yellowy, so we're going to just bring it down just a tad. Fix the vertical. Looks about right to me. And let's see, maybe we can bring down, we don't need a bunch of empty wall in this image. That looks better. We've got some other things we're going to want to remove, like these wires, these outlets, this little wire down here. Of course, everything that people don't recognize as they're shooting it ends up having to be my task when I am editing the images later. So here's the little workstation for the business counter, business desk for the, the people that stay at the hotel if they need to use a computer. This is another feature they like to show online in advertising for their property. So this angle, you kind of see the breakfast section. I'm probably going to go with this angle instead. I'm going to bring down the highlights. I'm going to increase the shadows just a tad. I'm also going to crop out this lower portion of the desk here because I don't want to have to Photoshop out more wires, more junk. Anytime you can make it easier on yourself just by cropping, you got to do that. It's going to save you time, and it's going to keep you from pulling your hair out. As you can see, I'm losing mine, and my job would explain a lot of it. Let's see. Distortion was a little curved on this lower edge, so I brought the distortion up. And I think this is pretty much all set, except maybe I'm going to adjust the white balance a little bit. That looks good. And now, when I get in Photoshop, I'm just going to have to remove these wires and then black out the screen. And this image will be done. So let's see what we got. I'm supposed to have 16 images. I've got exactly 16 images. So that works for me. This looks like a lower angle. Got the two bathroom shots. This is going to be the biggest pain here because I'm going to have to basically make the wall look a lot better. I don't know what's going on with this wall. It's a little, perspective's off just a tad, so I'm going to try to fix it. Maybe I should just put it back to 0 and just rotate it to the left. I'm looking at the door frame. I'm looking at this line, and then I'm also looking at the line by the left of the shower, the edge of the wall. And I want to try to get it, both of those pretty straight without too much aggravation. That should be good. It looks better than it was before. Just a slight rotation. I might actually bring this down and then jack it up just a tad. Crop it further. Just want to make sure the lower lip of the tub is still there. And I want to bring down my yellows just a smidge. Bring up the shadows. And actually bringing up the whites looks better as well. I'm going to be painting this wall also. So it doesn't really matter if I'm blowing it out because I'm gonna end up repainting it anyways. Let's just check out. Okay, I got my 16. I've got to get my greens as well exported because I need those window views. So here we go. I'm going to export my stuff to TIFF. Put it in the proper folder where I know everything is going. And meanwhile, while that's exporting, I'm going to get Photoshop open. This will probably take, I don't know, 30 seconds to export all the files. Gotta get some music going here. It's just killing me. It's too quiet. What's the deal with my Spotify? It's not even working. Let's restart it. Computer's just sluggish right now. What the heck is going on? Having issues. There we go. Spotify just must have crashed. So let's go again, open it up. I think my machine kind of gets a little sluggish when I'm broadcasting. Whenever I'm streaming, it's not really great at multitasking. This is almost done. %74 complete. Come on, Lightroom, you can do it. Muster up all that RAM. Do your thing. Alright, Spotify is starting to work. I've got a playlist with some royalty-free music. I'm just going to shuffle that. If anything sucks, I'm just going to skip it. Grab my headphones just a sec. Go. Alright, so this is done. I'm gonna exit Lightroom. Got Photoshop open. Gonna select my images. Make my selection of these 19 images. I'm going to drag them and open them up in Photoshop. It's going to take a bit just to pop them all into the program. Gotta stay hydrated. That's really useless. I have a freaking flashlight on my webcam. It's like, boop, off, on, off. It's awful. Totally worthless feature. Alright, so now it's time to get started with photoshopping all the little stupid details. I want to make the ceiling whiter than it actually is. First I'm gonna just bring up the brightness just a tad. By a tad I mean a tad. I gotta remove any imperfections that I see. There's obviously a nail on the wall here. Grab the patch tool. Get rid of it. There's an outlet over here. And there's some juice stains or whatever somebody just decided to spill down the wall. Use some content aware fill here. There we go. Looks good to me. Gotta make sure the cereal dispensers look like they're full. So I'm gonna just take my clone stamp tool, just gonna paint it in. Looks good to me. This is actually a mirror and it's showing the same thing. I think that is a mirror, isn't it? Yeah, it's a... Actually, no. Yeah, it is. So across from this mirror... Has to be a mirror. Because you got this rack here. Yep, coffee. That's the registration desk. The front lobby. So anything that I do here, I have to make sure that I'm doing it in the other image as well. Once I get to that shot. Remove this stupid thing over here. This camera. Get rid of it. Some crappy tablecloths. There's some stuff on the floor. Apparently they didn't know how to sweep before they did the photo shoot. Or vacuum or do whatever. It's like, no, we like our hotels looking crusty. Take out the clock from the microwave. It's fine. Alright, so to whiten the ceiling, got two options. I can just take the sponge tool, kind of remove the blue hue that's going on here first. And I can leave these lights and just take the dodge tool, set the shadows, and just kind of bring up the shadows to kind of brighten the ceiling. The other option is actually removing the lights and then repainting the whole ceiling with a layer of white set to 50% opacity. I'm gonna get rid of this stupid shadow going on over here because the little light is casting a shadow. I'm just gonna drag a patch tool over here, and that pretty much took care of it. It's much better than it was. But it's a little dark. I don't mind those lights, but just to show you the other way of doing it, show you guys, basically we just patch tool these out. For the most part, you could use patch tool. If you have any issues, you could use content aware fill, and then obviously do this one as well. Use content aware fill to show you the difference on that one. So sometimes content aware fill is a little spottier, especially when you're touching two completely different tonal ranges, if that makes sense. If I'm even using the right terminology, I don't know. But when you got one dark area and one light area, it's kind of sometimes tough with content aware fill because it graduates it with like rough transitions, and then you end up having to take the patch tool anyways. I'm not worried about being perfect here because what I'm actually going to be doing is repainting the whole ceiling anyway. So I just wanted to kind of even it out, and now I'm going to make my selection. Gonna just drag across. Just want the white part, the part that I want to be white. And here, the corner of the ceiling is actually close to the edge of the photo, so maybe I can recrop it and get it to corner both edges. That would actually be better. But anyways, you make a new layer, you fill it with white, boom, white ceiling, bring it down to 50%, 55%, looks good to me. Take your crop tool, drag it up, right about there. Now we got cornered ceiling, at least on one of the sides. And that one's done. I'm going to flatten the image, I'm going to save it. Actually, I missed something there. I want to go back to that because there was a little bit of ceiling kind of viewable in the mirror here. I at least want to take out this kind of greenish hue that it's got going on from the fluorescent lights. So I'm using the sponge tool set to desaturate. I don't really care that it's a little darker, but I'm gonna hit it with the dodge tool anyway. Just take some of the shadow out of it. So here's your dodge tool. Bring it down to a smaller size. I'm just gonna kind of paint all the darker areas of the ceiling. It's just gonna bring the shadows of the ceiling up a notch, just kind of blend them so that when you look at the image as a whole, this ceiling, which is just the reflection of the mirror that's showing you here, doesn't look entirely off like like it was doctored. So here was before, here's after. So the average person, they're not going to tell that this part of the ceiling is a little bit brighter than this. It looks better than it did before. At least it's the same color. I'm done. I'm going to go on to the next image. Here we're dealing with the same room, slightly different angle. Everything looks good to me. There's no wires. There's no crazy... Oh, this is a first. We got a security mirror here. My best bet with this is just to remove it, just so that I don't have to screw around. It's actually so small, I might actually just leave it alone. Just remove some of the elements that stand out bigger. This is so small, there's no way anyone's gonna really notice this, but it's kind of overkill. I don't know what the heck this is. Is some kind of freaking cardboard cutout of some dude with a beard? Don't ask me. Exit sign is gonna go away. Alright, so the ceiling here, got a dust spot. We're gonna basically repaint it. You know what? And this is so small. I'm just gonna take out my sponge tool, get the yellow out of it, the yellow out of the wall as well, because there was obviously a light reflecting on it. Tungsten casting a yellow hue. I'm gonna make it white again. I'm gonna take the dodge tool, and there's a cute little birdie looking at me from outside. Just flew away. Just gonna kind of paint the ceiling white with the dodge tool. Set the shadows. I'm gonna hit it to highlights. Gently brighten up the ceiling. See, I don't like how that came out at all. So you know what? I'm gonna go back to my original plan, repainting it with a layer. I'm gonna have to deselect this little bracket using the polygonal lasso tool. Alright, so now I'm going to make a layer, fill it with white, set it to 55, maybe 50. That looks good to me. I'm also going to kind of kill some of the yellow out of the wall from this side. Kind of fade it down a little bit. I don't remember what the other angle looked like. The other angle actually was pretty yellow. So the wall actually is yellow. So maybe I shouldn't have done that. Should have left it be. In that case, you can always go back. And what's good about Photoshop is you have what's called the history eraser tool. So this is a good thing to know. You set the history eraser to what state you actually want to airbrush it back to. So in this case, I just want to airbrush it back to the original color that I had already removed. So I'm going to basically just paint back what I desaturated because I was a little hasty there. Shouldn't have done that. There we go. That looks good. Done. On to the next one. Flatten. Close. See here. Let's go to Twitch. Let's just make sure. If I search for Photoshop, I want to see if my channel comes up, because I'm not really sure if it's coming up. Creative, Photoshop, or just Photoshop. Yep, we're coming up. Awesome. Wife is texting me. Alright, so here's one of the images that I actually have to replace the window view with the blown out view here. So I'm going to select this portion, close it, I'm going to paste it. So it's a little bit smaller, which is fine. It seems like it's pretty much lined up as well, which is also good. I don't have to screw around with adjusting the layers, but just happen to paste in that way. I'm gonna just bring the layer to the top that I actually want to remove the glared areas with, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna erase. I'm not gonna screw around with masking or anything. I'm just gonna do some destructive editing very quickly and easily. Just airbrush out all the blown out areas that I don't want in the final image. Anytime that you see something blown out, now you can just erase it. Here's the new window view. It's going to look like a beautiful view. It's not going to look all blown out white anymore. The curtains aren't going to have a haze over them anymore. Just going to kind of remove. The ceiling, I don't care if there's a little bit of a glare on the ceiling, because all this is going to get photoshopped over with a layer anyways. A white layer. Also, the bed has a little bit of blown out. I'm just going to gently just have my brush set to 13%. So anywhere that I think needs to get fixed, any of these stupid light glares or spots from the lamp, basically just removing all the imperfections with a very simple technique. I'm getting a little bit of ghosting effect. I don't think it's perfectly aligned at second glance. So let me take both these layers. I'm going to go to image. Let's see. Image, auto align layer. So it's going to align the layers better. Does that look better to you? No, it doesn't look better. Let's go back. Sometimes you can better align it just by nudging it. I'm going to move it with my arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm going by the image. The actual image of an image. Before after. Looks good to me. Window is done. So here's the before, here's the after. Now I still have to edit this. Haven't even started with the edit, the rest of this stuff. I'm gonna take my two layers, I'm gonna flatten them together. So now we're working with one layer again. I still have to kind of crop this image just a smidge, because I don't really want to see the stupid wall hanger. Honestly, I'm just gonna go right up to the edge of the desk here. Gonna remove the hangers. It's gone. Content aware fill. And there's a little bit of a power line going across outside the window here. I'm going to get rid of that. Hey, what's going on, Natchskull? I don't even know how to say your name. Natchskull. Natchskull? Natchskull? I should just call you Big N. I can't pronounce your name, buddy. Sorry about that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the levels a little bit better in this room if I can. Brightness, just bring it up just a smidge.
Everyone has had too much of now.
And then I'm going to increase the shadows just a little bit more. Shadows and highlights. Just a tiny bit, like 4%. I'm going to take my sponge tool, just kind of remove the yellow hue from the ceiling, just a tad. And then I'm going to make another layer here. Austria, awesome. I bet you Austria is a beautiful country. I've never been there, but I would love to see it. Is it cold in Austria though? I'm guessing it's cold. It's cold here. I'm a couple hours from New York City. Just making a rough selection of the ceiling. I'm gonna make a new layer. Gonna make it white and then bring down the opacity to about 60%. Night scale. Okay, so that's how you say it. And there's a little bit of glare going on over here. It's not major, but I just want to remove it. And unfortunately, I already removed the other image, so the other layer. So I'm going to just take the color, the general color from here. I'm going to take my quick selection tool. And on that layer, I'm going to just do a quick selection. And then I'm going to make a new layer. Take my airbrush out, paintbrush. I'm just going to kind of brush over it. Just kind of smooth it out. And then I'm going to fade this layer down to about, I don't know, 66% looks good. So here you go, before, after, before, after. Huge difference. I can actually hit this spot as well if I wanted to. Doesn't need to, but just a tiny bit. And that looks good. There's a little bit of a smudge going on top of the desk. Yeah, very cold. I'm not happy with the winters that we have here in the Northeast U.S. In New England, we have about 6 months of cold, and it just, we get very hot summers. We could have weather as warm as Florida at times, but the summertime is just so stinking short. I'm gonna bring down the music just so that you can hear my voice a little better, in case it's too loud. This little reflection I'm not really a fan of. I'm gonna just kind of patch tool it out. And this wire right here, that's gotta go. So I'm gonna just kind of make a selection, content aware fill, and that's gone. Drag this over. You can also take the patch tool, it's the rubber stamp I mean, just drag it over. Alright, this image is done. There's actually one more thing that I overlooked. It's the frame. As you can see here, it's got a little bit of a glare going on. So I'm going to take just kind of a rough selection of the frame. I'm going to bring it down to here. I'm going to bring it back up. And now I'm going to select this color, and I'm going to just kind of make a new layer, set it to 60% or so, and then just paint it. Paint over it. So you don't totally lose the texture. Actually can bring it up a little from 60. I'm going to bring it to 86%. Let's see what we got here. So at least now it's not going to look like it's glared out as much. So here's before, here's after. Just looks a little better. And I'm also noticing that the paintings, these photos, are also a little bluish. So I'm gonna kind of, you could do it two ways. You can go image adjust. hue saturation, bring down the blues, but I'm just going to selectively do it with my desaturation tool. Oop, I'm in the wrong layer. It's not doing anything when you're on the wrong layer. And just kind of paint along, get rid of some of the bluish tints. That one's not as bad as this one. This one's getting more blue because it's next to the window, and so the light from the window from the outside is actually casting a blue hue onto the image here. This beautiful black and white photograph of a landscape of the St. Louis, Missouri Arch, because I'm assuming this, I'm pretty sure this hotel is in St. Louis. So there's also a little bit of a blue hue cast on the bedspread on the top and on the pillows. So I'm going to very gently just hit it with the desaturation brush, and that's a lot better. So here's the before, here's our after. Huge difference. A lot of subtle changes, but it's subtle is what it's all about, in between having an image that's presentable and not presentable, professional and not professional. Actually, I overlooked this fact that there's freaking stains on the bedspread. So let's take care of that. Let's get these off of here. You want to make these images look presentable, but you know, also somewhere somebody would want to stay. So obviously, I don't know why they allowed these bedspreads to stay stained for the photo shoot. But oh, and there's a couple more things I missed. The alarm clock time has to be removed. Just gonna roughly drag off with the patch tool, get rid of the red reflection, and then this right here, this wire has to go. Let's try this spot correction tool. It's set to the spot healing brush is set to content aware, and I like to use it on that mode. Seems to work pretty well. And there's also some wrinkles. See, I just keep spotting things. Just when you think you're done, sometimes you spot more things that need to be worked on. Alright, that one's done. I'm going to flatten it. I don't know what the heck we're listening to here. I'm on this like random list. This image, it needs to be brightened, but what's happening is there's some blown out spots, unfortunately. You got to try to balance the levels. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to brighten it, and then I'm going to take my history paintbrush. I'm going to paint back the details in this pillow and anywhere else that looks like blown out. This side is pretty good, but the bedspread's a little bright here because of the fact that it's next to the window, and the window must have had some light spilling in. So, and honestly, some of those bedspread spots sometimes are caused by dust on the sensor of the camera. It's hard to tell sometimes if it's a stain or if it's a dust spot. Content Aware Fill does a pretty good job of doing rough patterns and textures that you wouldn't normally be able to get out with the patch tool. Sometimes you can, other times it just depends on the texture. Okay, and the door's got a whole bunch of crap on the front of it, of course. So I'm going to make a selection. I'm just going to Content Aware Fill it. That's okay, but obviously the color is a little off. So I'm just going to use the patch tool, finish it up. There we go. It's getting so dark in here. I need some light. Dark, cloudy day. The bed skirts look pretty smooth. The alarm clock has to get removed. I'm gonna take my rubber stamp and just go across. It's a lot easier sometimes. There's so many methods in Photoshop. There's so many ways you could do the same thing. It's just sometimes you just have to pick the one that works best in the situation that you're in. It's not that you can't do the same thing 20 different ways. You just kind of have to use whatever works for you or whatever you prefer. At the end of the day, as long as it's done, there's no wrong way, as long as it looks good. And then, again, I'm getting this like blue hue on these wall murals, so I'm just going to kind of desaturate them a little bit. I'm going to remove the ceiling smoke detector. That's gone. And everything else looks pretty good. I might want to dodge the shadows of this shadow here going on from the chair. Just a little bit. Just kind of run my dodge tool. And then I'm also going to increase the shadows and the highlights for the whole image. Excuse me. Right there. About there looks good. And gonna desaturate the ceiling with the sponge tool a little bit so it's a little yellow. There's a lot of color cast going on because of the fact that the walls are orange. So I'm gonna do that first. Then I'm gonna make my selection for the ceiling layer, the whitening. It's like doing teeth whitening, except on ceilings. I also didn't corner the ceiling perfectly, so I'm going to do that after I'm done with the ceiling. Whitening. So here we go. Fill it. Keyboard commands. Oops. And then I'm going to click here and go bring it down to, let's see, 50. 55 looks good in this image. Ceiling's already pretty bright. Sometimes what I like to do is take the dodge tool, set the shadows, and I like to kind of hit the top of the ceiling, the top of the walls as well, because they can be a little dark sometimes. There's a little bit of glare going on here, but it's not super bad. Use that same ceiling layer and then just kind of paint over it a little bit. It looks a little better. And then I think overall this image is done. I just have to crop it. I'm going to bring it up just a smidge, right about there. Corner of that ceiling. Flatten it. Close it. Save it. Let's change the name of our broadcast to Photoshop Editing Lessons. Commercial interiors. Hashtag creative. Manage auto host. Alrighty. Back to the edit. Here's another one that we had to replace the window view with. So, let's copy the window view. Let's paste it in here. It's actually the same exact, it's totally aligned. It did a good job. So all we're going to do is we're just going to do the same thing we did in that previous image. Just going to paint away the glare. I actually didn't want to go that far on the curtains. Control Z is your friend. This song's annoying. Looks better. The bedspread is eh. I may have to just bring my flow down just a smidge. Just a tad bit. Okay. And I think out of overall, I think this is good. Now, we can flatten it. Actually, I'm going to bring up my brightness. I'm going to increase the darkness, the shadow areas. Balance out the room's lighting. Looks good. I just think that these curtains are still a little bit too blown out. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, we're going to flatten it. And now, let's see what we can do. We're going to remove this stupid light from the ceiling since it's not even on in the first place. Or maybe if it is on, you just can't tell it is. It's going to get in the way of us whitening our ceiling anyways. So, there's a wire on the nightstand. Once again, always is. It's not major, but it just looks better without it. We'll just kind of patch tool up the bed skirt, clean it up a little bit. Alright, now ceiling time. Looks good to me. 54%. I'll bring it down 50%. Bedspread's a little bit wrinkly, but it's not really much I can do. There's also a wire going along the floor here, so that's got to get out of here. Gotta get that out. That didn't work so well. I swear, sometimes the brush tools don't work so well with sets of content aware fill. That's gone. It's just also getting me to notice that these bed skirts on this side of the bed are also a little wrinkly, so I'm just gonna kind of try to touch them up a little bit. Just take out some of the major wrinkles. Here we go. Just the darkest ones. Look, it's a little bit smooth. It's better than it was. Here's the before. Here's the after. Oh, once again, I forgot. I gotta do the murals here. I'm gonna take the blue out of them just by hitting them with the desaturation brush set to 100% flow. This one's not as blue as the one that's on the window side. See here, it's just super blue, super purpley bluish. And I'm also gonna hit the top of the bed because the bed's got a blue hue going on from the window, I'm guessing. So we're just gonna kind of hit that. Here's the before. Here's the after. Get rid of that glare as well on the picture. So now we're gonna make sure everything's flat. We're gonna save it. On to the next one. Here's the last of the images where I actually have to replace the window view. So I also have to replace the picture frame view here. So I'm going to select the canvas, copy it, I'm going to paste it. Now, I'm not sure if these are lining up exactly right, but let's just see. I take my eraser tool. First, I'm going to brighten the scene just a little bit. Right about there. Looks good. And then I'm going to bring up the shadows. Shadows and highlights. Just a little bit. That kind of HDR look going on. Now I can erase away the blown out spots. See, you can tell that it's not totally aligned because you've got, I'm erasing the curtains here and they're kind of moving a little bit. So if I select both layers and I go to image or edit, auto align layers, click OK, it'll do it for me. Layers do not overlap enough to detect alignment. Alright, so I guess I can't in this case for whatever reason. I don't feel like figuring it out. I'm just going to nudge it until everything lines up. That's close enough. Now I'm going to go back to my eraser tool. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. And I'm just going to erase away all the blown out window sections. Even this portion here. Over the curtains. Make the curtains look nice and fresh and clean. And not blue. Not blown out looking. Just remove. There's a little bit of glare going on in the window, but it's not worse than what was before. Get rid of this chromatic aberration or whatever's going on over here on the curtains. And then I'm also going to erase away all the glare in the painting. If you want to call this a painting. Print. Apparently it's a couple swans. Beauteous hotel artwork. So overall, I think this covers most of the glare problems. This stuff's gonna have to be manually hit with the patch tool on the wall. Unless I want to Photoshop the whole wall, and if I erase this whole portion, it just brings out more problems because now I got dark shadows and stuff going on. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to crop this a little bit more just to kind of get the corner of the ceiling and at least a portion of it to line up. I'm going to drag. I want the bed in there. I want the TV in there too. So this is kind of tough. I might have to just not corner the ceiling in this image. I'm going to have to just leave it alone. Bring the floor up a little bit. I can actually crop the bottom of the stupid couch out. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it was better this way. So now I have to select the smoke detectors, anything that I need to remove on the wall, any smudges, any glares, any little blobs that the lens put in the image because it was dirty. The photographer that shot it. I didn't flatten it yet. I gotta flatten this. There we go. Bring this down. Get this little spot out of the ceiling. Get this light out of the ceiling. Gonna go over this whole thing with an actual white layer, just a bit. Just first gonna remove the major flaws, the major imperfections. There's a huge crack in the ceiling that's obviously been spackled, and it probably doesn't show up much in real life. It's just that when you hit it with flash, it's gonna show up pretty obviously. So I'm just trying to kind of clean it up a little bit with the patch tool. I'm gonna remove this light as well. A little bit of light glare going on from the lamp. This little spot has to go. These reflections kind of have to go too. There's a little glare on the wall going on, which I just copied to this portion from here. Let's get rid of these shadows from the lamp shade. Just trying to basically smooth everything out subtly. And get this chair shadow out of the way. There's a stain on the couch, it looks like. Bunch of stains on the couch, that's delicious. Little small little spots. Can only imagine what that is. And then we're gonna hit the furniture here. De-scratchify a few of the major spots. We're gonna black out the TV so that there are no stupid reflections or anything. We're just gonna black it out. Oop, I didn't select the right spot. I think it goes right to about there. There's so many reflections, it's kind of tough to tell sometimes. And there we go. Oh, that's the wrong color. There we go. So there's a little bit of a cord hanging out down here. You just, that's gone. And then the coffee table, anything major. Little spots. Little crumb on the couch. I'm going to desaturate the top of the bed because it's got that bluish hint to it again from the window light that's casting in. Same thing with the door. There's a little bit of a smudge going on over here on this wall. It looks like it was just some dirt that was on the lens. And once again, we're going to desaturate that image on the wall, mural. The ceiling looks pretty good tone. I'm just going to basically make it white. I also want to match this portion here. It seems to be brighter. I don't know if I did this or if this was like this. Just kind of paint along with the stamp. Better. We're going to draw along the top of the curtain rod. Double click to finish your selection. Make your layer. Fill it with white. Bring it down to, let's see, looking like 54%. Looks good to me. And there's the room looking a lot better than it did at the start. This, I don't like how this came out, so I'm gonna just kind of try to fix this smudge. Sometimes when you get a textured wall and you grab with the patch tool sections from another area of the wall, it just does weird things, makes it cruddy. Sometimes you don't really tell until you zoom in. You just try to adjust it. Just a little crack over here. Alright, that looks good. Here's the before, here's the after. Huge difference. Before, after. Nice and clean. This portion here is a little blown out, which I'm not thrilled with. So I'm going to take this burn tool and I'm going to set it to highlights. And I'm just going to kind of gently hit the corner here, because there must have been a bright light or something on this tile. This is the tile for the jacuzzi in the room. I'm just going to hit that. And down here as well. Looks a little bit better. Maybe I went a little too far. Let's try that again. This stuff can be very subtle. Very, very subtle. Alright, that's a little better. I can live with that. I'm going to flatten. And I'm going to save. Ugh, this looks like a mess. I swear. These people need to clean up their workspaces. Seems to be a wire or something going up the whole wall. Just going to make a selection here. I'm going to take my rubber stamp tool. I'm going to select here. And I'm just going to run it right along the side, all the way down. That's good enough. As we got rid of the wire, there's a little bit of cracks on this molding here. Very minor stuff, but it depends how much of a perfectionist you are if you're gonna remove this stuff or not. You can beat these things like a dead horse sometimes, but it is what it is. So here's the little wire that I just love. There's always a wire. See how that does? Pretty decent job. Nobody would really know that was there unless they were staring at it. Don't have to go for perfection, just at first glance type perfection, if that makes any sense. No one would know that but you, that you removed the wire from a rough textured rug like that. All this here, you can just drag it straight down with the patch tool. Hold shift for uniformity. You can actually clean it up by going and making a little selection. I'm gonna take my rubber stamp and I'm just gonna paint along the edge. Boom, done. So much better. So there's a little bit of a knot in the rug here. I'm just gonna hit that real quick. And the other major things, obviously, we've got these little stupid registration signs mounted also diagonally. Let's get rid of this camera. It's kind of stupid. And we're gonna kill the clock as well. Kill the clock. Get rid of this little placard, whatever it was. And let's also get rid of this bracket or whatever it is for the shelf. These registration things, I should just be able to select them like this and just boom. Yep, that was good. Content aware fill. Another selection. Let's try it this time. Let's just drag up. That did a good job too. So whether you like to use the patch tool or content aware fill, sometimes they both do the same exact thing, and it's not that much of a difference. I'm gonna remove this security CCTV over here just by making a selection, overlapping it just a little bit because I don't want any blue to come through. Just gonna black it out, and then just to kind of get rid of this bluish tint, I'm just gonna take the sponge tool, set to desaturate, and I'm just gonna fade it. That way you don't have any inclination that the TV was on at one point. Same thing with this one. This isn't super necessary, but it looks pretty dark, but I'm just gonna black it out some more. Freaking post-it notes all over the stinking office space. Okay. All we got to do now is remove these outlets. Looks good to me. We got this little dude. I'm going to leave him in there. I don't mind him. Little candy man. Here, take a mint. Up here, just so that I can whiten out the ceiling easier, I'm just going to remove the portion of this light here that's sticking out in the corner. I'm going to go like this. Make a selection. I'm going to drag it over. Holding the spacebar is a quick way to get to the hand grabber tool, if you hadn't already figured that out. And yeah, 61% looks good to me. I'm also going to increase the shadows and highlights just a little bit. Like 5%, 4%. 5% looks good. I'm going to remove the kind of greenish hue in this room from the fluorescent light just by hitting it with the... Actually, you know what? That just did more damage than good. Just make a small brush and just hit the ceiling. Okay. Now, what we got going on in this corner here? Little spot. I'm gonna bring the blues down because the whole image here on the wall that says "Welcome, greetings from Missouri" is kind of blue. The cyans as well. Just subtle, but it just takes out some of the bluishness. Dodge desaturation, sponge tool, flatten, and close. Now we're down to this. We got this computer shot. Of course, there's tape stuck to the monitor. My wife's watching me while she's at work. She's laughing because she can see what I'm doing. Hi, honey. Black out the screen. We're going to remove the wires next. So there's like a wire going on over here. This is a dusty desk. I don't have time to clean this all up, so I'm just gonna do my best. This is, how do you say, dirty. Coughing just looking at this. It's disgusting. We need to use a freaking Windex. And they've taped the mouse pad to the desk because, you know, that's super vital. Let's get rid of this wire coming out of the mouse. Make it a magical wireless mouse. Magical. I'm gonna take this chunk, drag it over. Yeah. Definitely need some pledge. Photoshop is like digital pledge. There's another wire over here. That's great. So I'm going to kind of try to use the content aware fill. Did a decent job. Just made like a white splooge. That's better. There's another way you can do this. You could just make a selection. Click, click. Just a rough one. And then take your rubber stamp tool and then just go to town. Just kind of paint it away. And if you got a rough edge here, you just go like this. So the wires are going on that side of the monitor. There's also one more wire over here I gotta kill. I'm gonna take my rubber stamp. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just gonna get rid of the wire. That's all we're focusing on here. And the only other wires, I think that's it. Now there's a few other smudges on the desk. There's a scratch here. It could be pretty easy. Just drag the spot correction tool over it. Get rid of this little spot in the front. It's not going to look perfect because it's garbage in, garbage out. They really should clean this before they shot it, but it is what it is. Do your best. A little bit of dirt on this fake makeshift mouse pad that they just made out of paper and tape, which is pretty pathetic. It's like, can't you spend $5 on a mouse pad? And there's also a plug in the mirror reflection, which I didn't notice before. You're our little friend who likes to hand out candy. Mr. Candyman. He's like, hey guys, want a mint? I got plenty of them. Yeehaw. Alright, this one looks good. Doesn't look good because it's filthy as crap, but it's as good as it's gonna get. Because ain't nobody got time for digital pledge. Digital end dust for electronics. You can only do so much with the stains and with the scratches until you want to punch yourself in the throat. So, let's just call this done. Here was the before. Here's the after. A little bit of funky shadow going on over there. That's not really bothering me. I'm going to save this one and let's open up a new image. I'm going to adjust our levels on this jacuzzi tub. I'm going to increase the shadows by going to shadows and highlights. Bring up the light just a little bit in the shadow areas. And then we're going to bring down the blues because for some reason this, I don't know, I'm seeing some blue reflections in the tub I don't like. It's okay to have a little bit of a blue tint, but what I also don't like is the fact that this wall is not properly painted. So I'm gonna have to digitally paint this. So I'm gonna make my selection of just the wall, and that's not just the wall. You know what, sometimes when it's a simple selection like this, it's just better to do it manually. So you just go and click just like we do the ceilings. Just select the portion that we want to paint. So for this portion of the wall, I'm going to select kind of the midpoint, which is this color over here. And I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to get my big brush out, and I'm just going to paint. And then I'm going to fade it later. So this is on a separate layer. This is not destroying the original image. I'm going to fade this down to about, I don't know, 65%, just so that you can still see the texture of the wall through what I painted. So there's the before, there's the after. I still can go back to the original layer and kind of blend this a little bit if I wanted to. Just to kind of give it a little smoother transition. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Actually, I don't really need to. I don't need to get crazy with selections. I'm just going to hit it with the brush. Because this side's pretty good. So, here we go. I might bring this down just a smidge to 53. That looks good. And there we go. There you have it. It is done. Looks good to me. Before, after. If I bring up the brightness a little bit, it might blow out some of the highlights. But I think I do need to. Just 9%. There we go. And close. Actually, in the last second, like always, I always see one last spot that I missed. There was a spot that looks like sensor dust from the camera. And that's it. There's a spot here too. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Any major reflections you can remove as well, like this. Kind of clean it up a little bit. This glare. The glare on this faucet can go. You could do this till you're blue in the face. So it's just how long do you want to edit one image. There's a little tag, it looks like from the jacuzzi manufacturer. Go on. Okay. Just going to hit the center with the dodge tool. Just where it's a little dark. And then we're done. We're down to our two exterior images. And then we've got the laundry room image. This laundry room image, I'm basically just going to try to clean up the appliances. Make them look a little less old. They're a little chipped up. Somebody's touched this up with some appliance paint, which is obvious, which is fine. But it's always better to just do it. Get rid of the spots, make it look pretty. I don't know what the deal is with this, but I'm just going to use my rubber stamp. That looks a little better. And there's another spot over here, a little chip. Scratches galore. Okay, so we've got this bulletin board thing going on over here, and that's fine, but generally don't want to have anything in the image that's going to distract from the photo. Don't really need these little notices to be on here. I'm trying to work on the shadow, but I don't think that was really necessary at this point. This section has to be kind of content aware filled. I'm hoping for the best here. Did alright, I guess. That'll do. We got ourselves a nice empty bulletin board now. So that's better than it was. I don't have to look at some stupid little posts, bulletins. This here has a few little doo-doo stains on the wall. And there's a little dust spot from the camera of whoever didn't clean their camera before they shot it. Thanks a lot, photographer. And then we're going to do this little ridge is going to come out of the wall because it looks like crap. We're going to remove this little section and everything else looks okay. This here, we can just very easily hit it with an airbrush. I'm good with that. Bring up the shadows and the highlights. Actually, I don't even need it. It looks fine the way it is. Brightness. Looks good. Close. Save. We got a busy bathroom. We got another busy bathroom. We got another bedroom front angle. Let's do the bedroom front angle. This will be quick and easy, I hope. Bring up the brightness. And then we're going to history brush back the detail in the pillows. Oops, wrong brush. Wrong tool. That's good. And then we're going to go for the clock. We're going to remove the time. Going to remove any wires. They forgot to remove the phone cord. Why is there an old freaking phone in this room? I don't understand why. It's like one of those classic looking telephones with touch tone, like something you'd find in your grandparents' house. Oops. Gonna turn the time off. Oops. There's another wire over here, of course, as there always is. I'm just going to hit that. Get rid of that really quick. And the ceiling is a little yellowy, so we're going to just make a quick selection. There's a spot on the wall here. Patch that off. Going to make a quick selection. Oh, look, there's another dust spot. Let's just do the ceiling first. Bring it to about 66%. It looks good. And then there's a spot here. We're just going to take the spot healing brush. Just hit it. Good. And we're going to burn the highlights on this section because there's a little bit of glare going on in this mural. So burn the highlights and then burn the shadows. Darken the contrast in this section that got blown out. Just make sure it looks good. And then we're going to desaturate it as well. We're going to make it look more like a black and white than a mono. chromatic image. Sepia. Cool blue. Just make it black and white. Looks good to me. And I'm going to de-wrinkleify the pillow just a little bit. It's not that bad, but just hit it a few times. Smoothing it out. Smooth it out, smooth it out. And dust spot. And a wall spot. And more doo-doo wall spots. And another one. That looks good. And we're going to increase the shadows and highlights just a little bit. 3. Looks good. And I'm done. Flatten. Close. Save. Okay, so 5 more images left. See a spot right off the bat over here. You see the alarm clock has to go so that it doesn't look, so we don't know what time it was when they took the photo. Heck are we listening to here? This mix is crazy. And I'm gonna take the dresser and just drag down this line, and then it'll remove the wire. Dust spots, little nicks. You can't go super crazy because you'll be here all day. Anyways, there's one more over here that's kind of glaring, kind of big. I'm just gonna move it. Content aware fill. Get rid of these things off the doors. Alright. So now there's, like I said earlier, if you were still watching, which you probably weren't, but anyways, I'm gonna take this glare out just by dragging a huge patch tool. And if this doesn't work, then I'm actually gonna select the whole wall and just repaint it. I did a pretty decent job, but yeah, that's doable. I'll take it. There's a lot of blue going on in this image, and I don't know why. It's just pulling blues a little bit. So I'm going to bring up the brightness first, till everything looks just right in the non-highlighted areas, in the darker areas. And then I'm going to take my history eraser brush, and I'm going to go to the last step before I did that, and I'm going to erase back the detail and the highlights on the bed. Because here on the bed it's too bright on the bedspread. And a little bit on the pillow. And everything else looks good. It's just there's a little bit of bluishness being cast on this image. So I'm going to go here to image, adjust, hue, saturation, pick the blues, bring down the blues. Not all the way, because then it's going to start to screw with the color in the bedspread. And the carpet has some cyan in it, so you got to be careful. So before, after, it's very subtle, but it's going to kind of take down the blues a little bit. And then I'm also going to take down the sponge tool on the mural, just like I did on the other rooms, because I think it looks better when they're black and white than when they look like they're bluish, monochromatic duotones. I like the black and white look better. 'Cause I think in real life they actually are black and white. It's just that they're reflecting the blue light coming in from the windows. And now this bed skirt is kind of rough. It's kind of rough. So I'm gonna select it all. I'm gonna copy it. And then I'm gonna paste it on a new layer. And then I'm gonna make a selection again of what I just pasted. Filter, blur, average. So I averaged out the color of that whole selection, and now I'm gonna fade it down to like, I don't know, 68%. I'm gonna erase away the darker areas because that just looks fake to me. I'm gonna fade the top with my eraser tool. Also hit the bottom, and then so here's the before, here's the after. Basically what I just did is I just faded all the wrinkles down, and I didn't have to spend hours selecting them, but it's not perfect. So I'm gonna flatten my image, and I'm just gonna kind of go over it a little bit with my patch tool. I'm gonna get the majorly wrinkled areas, and I'm just gonna drag over the patch tool. Smooth it on out. And that looks a lot better than it did at the beginning. So here's the beginning. Oops. Screwing up my menus here. Here's before. Here's after. Now looking at this area, it's like night and day. Huge difference. Now I got to remove the smoke detector from the ceiling. I'm going to draw on the ceiling here a selection to whiten it. Zoom in just a little bit more. Sometimes there's some imperfections. The lines aren't perfect. So you want to try to get it as close as you can. Alright, so now I'm just going to make a fill layer of white, and I'm going to bring it down to like 50%, and to me that looks good. I'm going to increase my shadows and highlights. 4% looks good. And overall this is done, I think. The only thing I can really improve upon this is if I was to make a little bit of a removal of this glare over here. Just kind of hit it. Oops, I was on the wrong layer. So before you do that, make sure you're on the right layer. I'm going to actually use the layer with the ceiling since that's faded to 50% opacity, because I don't want to totally remove the texture from the wall, but I do want to remove the glare. So here's before, here's after. So that was a huge improvement. And I'm also going to take my dodge tool on the background layer here. I'm just going to dodge the top of the ceiling just to kind of match it, lighten it up just a little bit. Oops, that was a little too far. And I think there's also a spot on the ceiling here. Grab that out of there, and it looks like we are good. Flatten, save. Now here's a pretty little bathroom. I'm going to remove this blow dryer from the wall. Time today, thank you. And that did a pretty good job. Content aware fill. So there's this whole doo-doo section. It's a rough section of the wall. I'm gonna make a selection around the sink. So all this has got to go. Got to go. Alright, so all this now, I'm just going to try to get the closest color. Let's go with this one. I'm just going to, actually let's just go with a darker color seeing as it's under the sink. I'm just going to airbrush it. Dragging it up so that I can get the patch selection to get some texture in there, but I don't know how well this is going to work. Doesn't look great. Doesn't look terrible though. It's better than it was. Much better than it was. So I'm going to select this portion. And I'm also going to erase away this portion of this overlayer here. Let me flatten this first. Just take this phone call really quick.
Talk to anybody, shit. If anything, they should wanna talk to me. Mad bittersweet, so what else is new? It's just a feeling, this too shall pass us. So, hello, the villain is witnessing anything that important. I could either be mad, dense in the head, tense and there's a sore spot. Demon putting my head on the cutting block. We either go round and round until we throw up. Most days suck. I like to thank you all for being sour, pussy scowling at me. I'm just trying to tell you my story, then take a bow. You sound crazy, well that shit sounds dismissive to me. You better deal with it, cousin, cause the wicked is a part of you, you know. The shadow too, and there goes the light. I'm gonna linger on this funny feeling until my eyes roll to the back of my skull. I never felt better yet. Everybody cries and I see. Everybody cries and I see. Everybody cries and I see. Everybody cries. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. Everybody cries and I see. Everybody cries and fuck your anger. Why are you so angry at me? Spitting warm saliva at me, drapes them out. Take us down where there ain't no love below. I mean the lovely never shows. In any of your paintings, they still fuck with your heads like experiments. Putting me in AOC classes, cause I wasn't learning fast enough for you bastards. That's where where they put all the broken shit. Smiling at children, let them know there's still a Santa Claus. Give yourselves a round of applause. I lock my doors from this hateful world I ignore. And I'm down and out, or I'm up in the clouds. I'm either here nor present, stay longer just for 2 seconds more. Shit, I hate being alone, stuck at home in another Great Depression. Shit, I guess I'll go outside and say hi to all the lovely. See all these small faces, face it, don't run away from. I see everybody cries, and I see everybody cries, and I see everybody cries, and I see everybody cries. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Say, Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Say, Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Say, Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Say, Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. I don't need no broccoli. Say, Father, please get off. That's why I drive north. Everybody cries and I see. Everybody cries and I snore. Everybody cries and I see. Everybody cries.
Okie dokie. Sorry about the phone call. Well, that's okay. I didn't have any viewers at the moment, so it didn't matter anyways. Get rid of the shadow here. I'm going to get rid of the shadow from the shower head. I can't wait to be done with this hotel. I'm almost done. Oops. And we got to get rid of this stupid blow dryer drama. Content aware fill. It did a pretty good job, actually. Maybe not. Man, we got to get rid of this label from the ceiling, so we're going to go like this. Here. Put my headphones back on here. That was pretty good. Alright, now we just have to whiten the ceiling, so we're going to make the selection for inside the mirror reflection. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. Get this edge more precise. New layer, white. We're gonna do this part here. It's kind of a pain because it's curved, so you have to click, 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 click. Such a subtle curve that you can just use the polygonal lasso tool and just click gradually as you go along. It doesn't have to be a Bezier curve, pen tool curve, unless you like the pen tool that much. I sometimes can't be bothered with it because ain't nobody got time for that. Sounds like a good song. So we got our white ceiling. Now we just got to fade it down a little bit, make it look more realistic. Let's bring it down like 58. Looks good. And it's a little blown out up here from the light, but I don't know. I'm just gonna... I might just paint it actually. Let's select a little bit of a lighter cream color. And let's just make a new layer. Just hit it like that. I'm gonna fade it. I'm gonna fade the edge of this there. A bigger brush. And then we're going to take this section of the mirror and we're going to have to darken this because this is a little blown out too. I'm going to take the color from here, just going to kind of airbrush over it a little bit. Just kind of, we don't want to lose the texture, so we're just going to go easy. And that's a lot better than it was. Before, after. Might still be a little bit too bright over here, so I'm just going to take it with the big brush, big eraser brush, and just kind of hit it. Down in this section, I can actually select a darker color, and I can add brush the darker color over here. That's better. And then erase the portion on top of the ceiling. So now I'm going to take my dark dodge shadow tool, and I'm actually going to hit the bathtub with it. Just kind of brighten it up, make it look a little bit more approachable, not like a dungeon. Gotta make your bathtub approachable. And I kind of like white shower curtains better than cream colored ones. I don't know if this was cream colored or if it just came off looking like that. So I'm just going to take the desaturation tool, the sponge tool, and I'm going to also hit the counter. Make sure I get rid of any color cast stuff going on. And that's done. I'm going to flatten this. Oops. Close. Save. Yes.